All right. Um, Last time we started with our HTML, and we talked about the page, how to create a page, and at the same time, what is a tag, what is attributes, and at the same time, we talked about how to generate text in HTML by using h1 to axis for heading text, or by using the p tag for paragraph, which means the normal text on the screen. So this one here is our heading text, but we have levels to the headings, starting from the level 1 to level 6, which is H1 to X6. And then after that, we talked about basic formatting of our text. Like we can bold the text using B or the strong tag. Make your text to be in italics by using the I or the EM tag. So you can underline text and you can even combine all of them together to achieve whatever you want to showcase on the screen, depending on the content you want to show to the user. But it's not only text that you want to show to the user. Sometimes you want to display media like image, video, and so forth like that. Almost all the sites you visit these days, you always see the form of image there or videos, because everything is not just about text. So how do we include something like that on the page? So we're going to be talking about it, and at the same time we're going to talk about how we can connect different pages together, because you are going to be on a site, and on that site you are going to have different web pages like the login page, the home page, the about page, and so forth like that. So you need to be able to connect all these pages together there. What's wrong with the network today? So we need to be able to connect all these pages together. And how do you connect them together? We can use the anchor tag to link different pages together. For example, here now, look at our project. We have all these HTML files. So we have the index, we have this login page, which we don't have anything right now, but we're going to put something there later on. So let me just generate the basic structure. So I'm going to call it login page as a title, but and inside it later on we're going to put our form there. So this is a login page like this. So from our index, it will be nice that we can link in to this login page, or from any of these page we can connect to the other pages, just like the Nara line that I showed you last time. When you go to Nara line on any site, you can click on a text and it's going to redirect you from one page to another, or you can even click on anything that is linked, but it's not just text that you can use for link. It can be anything like the media, like image, and so forth like that. So it can take you from one page to another page, and that's what you use to anytime you search something on Google. It's going to present different search results for you. It's not less for you to click on any one of them that you want, and once you click on it, it takes you to that site. What Google is using there is a link or the tag, which we're going to be using here, are there like that. Again, too, you go to your Google once again, you search for VS Code, and you see the link, you click on it, it takes you to the download page. And on the download page, you are able to download VS Code on your system there. What's wrong with network today? Oh, this thing is just connecting and what's wrong with Airtel? Okay, let me check again. Why is the network not connecting? Available. What is going on? All right, while the stuff is still loading, so in order for you to connect your pages together, we can use anchor tag, which is what we normally call a tag. Anchor, which is this is the full name, so anchor tag, but it's just a. No, most of all this tag, they are coming from the name that you're using. So like this H1, which is heading level 1, and so forth like that. So for this anchor tag, we have the A tag. So when you want to link different pages together, whether it's your own site or you're connecting to external site, you always use the anchor tag. So for example, this is our index. We want to connect it to Nairaland site. Once we click on the text from this our page, it will take us to Nairaland. And in order for you to do that, we need to use our anchor tag, but let me put this linking web pages like this. And in order for you to link it, we're going to use the A tag. So as you can see, the anchor tag, but most of the time you call it A tag directly instead of saying anchor. But that's the full meaning of that, or that's the where the A is coming from. And inside this href, which is the attribute, I told you the attribute is what you use to give extra information to your tag. So this A tag knows that it's going to take the user from one place to another. But which place am I taking the user to? So this is what you'll be supplying inside the href. And in between the A tag, this is where you put the content you want to show to the user on the screen. Now I mentioned content, now not text, because it can be anything. But right now we'll be using text as the content that the user will click on, but it can be anything that you can show to the user on the screen. Whatever you put inside the A, that's what the user will click on, and it will take them to whatever you put inside the href. So here we can just say go to Nairaland like this. But once I save and I don't put anything inside, it will still work. It's just that it will not be working the way we're expecting it to work. So where do I have it on the page? Where are you linking? Yeah, so as you can see, this is it here. But right now, as you can see what is showing in the DAM. So whatever is showing down here, that's where it is going to take the user to, which is currently showing us that we are going to go back to the same page we are working on. So anytime you are working with this A tag and you don't put anything inside the href, it's as if you are putting the current page you are working on. Once you use A tag and there is nothing inside href, it will just take the URL of the current page you are working on. That's how it works. But that's not what we want. We want to link it to Nairaland site. And what we just need to do is to get the link to Nairaland, which I know already, but let's just go there first. So let me just load nairaland.com like this. And once the network is back, as you can see, Nairaland is working. So what we just need to do is to get the address to Nairaland, then we put it inside our href. So what you are saying here is that once the user click on this text or whatever you put inside the A tag, it will take them to the link that you pass to this href. So save now, and going back to our page, we're on our page. Now, over on it, as you can see, the link is different. And once you click on it, you see that it will take us to whatever you pass. And that's what you see that Nairaland is using here. So all this in their link, but they are using image to click on because they put image inside the A tag. But currently we are putting text there, but you can put anything inside the A tag. But how do you to display image like this on your page? Because when you are working, you are going to use image on your site. Majorly, most of the sites you see these days, there is one that you don't see like a form of icon or image to kind of give extra information to the user. Because not every time everything has to be text. Sometimes it has to be media like video or audio or image. Most of the time the image, it's common there to use on a page. And we have a tag that you can use to generate image on the page. So to generate image, you can see the tag is just img, which is coming from image there like that. And as you can see too, this one come with attributes, but this is a self-closing tag. As you can see, nothing like opening and closing there like that. It's a self-closing tag. And most of all these closing tag, you talk to them through attributes because you are not putting anything inside. So you have to talk to them through attribute for them to know what to do. And this image here now, it needs the source. That SRC is the source. The image that you want to display, where is it coming from? Where is the location? Am I going to get this image? So you are going to pass the location of the image to these attributes here. Why this one is alternative, which means what do you want to show on the screen when the image is not loading? Maybe there is a problem with the link that you put inside that source, or the stuff is no more there where you get the image from. So whatever you put inside this alt, that's what is going to display by default. Because now if I save it without putting any source, and go back to the page, there, let me go back to the page, reload the content that we have on our page, you see that nothing is showing at all. Why is it not showing? Is because the image did not know what to display. And at the same time, too, there is no alternative stuff to display to the user. So nothing will show on the screen. Depending on the browser, some browser they are actually going to show icon for you, like but most of the browser these days will not even show that icon if you don't use this auth, which is the alternative. So here we can just say that my image here. So if the image is not showing, it will display this text. But if the image is showing, then this text is not going to come outside because it's alternative. Is when the image is not showing outside or to the user, that's where the text is going to come outside. And as you can see now, it's now showing my image here because we did not pass anything inside the source. But what are we going to be passing into the source? Just like the link that you for the page that you're passing here, the link of where that image is located, that's what you pass here too. And when you're talking about linking here, it comes in different variants there. So we have this, let me have H1. So we have this linking methods. And under the linking method here, we have external linking. So when you're talking about external, you are connecting to another site entirely, not part of what you are working on. So like this link that we're connecting to now, it is external because we are not the one in charge of Nairaland. You have to go to Nairaland to get the link, and you cannot change anything from that link. If you make changes to any of this stuff here, you will not get to Nairaland again. So it is external. You don't have like say over that link. But when it is the other one, which is internal, which have a lot of other this inside it, so we have the internal linking. So when I'm talking about the internal linking, it means the linking you are doing, whatever you are connected to, is part of the project you are working on. So all this one now, you can connect them together, and they are internal. So you have the one that have the say. You are the one that determine how to connect them together based on the name you are using. But when it is external, you are connecting to another site entirely. Once you get the link from another site, they are referred to as external. And those external are the cheapest one, and at the same time, you cannot change anything about it because you are not the owner. So the same thing here now, we can get this external image from Nairaland, or let's use this one. So to get the link of any asset or any image, just right click on it. You are going to see the option to copy a link like that. But that's not what I want. What I actually, because if you say copy link, you know that thing is a link to direct you from one place to another. It will just copy link. That's not what we want. We want the image. So to copy the image, as you can see, there is another one known as copy image link. This is one you need. When you click on this, when you copy this one, you are copying the href that is inside the a tag they are using there. But the image is what you need. The link to that image is what you need, not the link of the a tag they are using there. So to get the actual image, what you are going to use is going to be this copy image link, or you can download the image yourself and move it to your project, which is going to be the internal one. I'm going to do that one too. First, let me download this one so I can download this image so that we can use this one for internal, because most of the time you're always going to deal with internal linking because you have your own assets, not that you'll be copying assets from other sites. They can sue you. That's why you're using our materials like that. So you don't use a lot of assets from different sites. You have your own assets in your project, then you connect them together. But you're going to be using internal linking for that. So, but right now we are dealing with the external one, which allows us to, just pick assets from any site and we connect it to our page. So just like the way we did with the link here, we can do it from this source too. After we copy the link, you just need to paste it inside the source. As you can see, it's going to Nairaland, then it's going to fetch this image with that extension JPG there. Then the browser knows what to do. Your own is just to give it where to get the asset, then the browser will do the remaining work behind the scene. So saving this stuff, going back to our page, and if everything is working, as you can see, we are going to have access to the assets on our page too, just like the way. So that's the image now. But if you see that it's not linked because that one now they put it inside the a tag, but our own is standing on its own. So it's not going to, if you click it from now to tomorrow, nothing will happen. If you want it to be like that, what we can do is to just move the entire stuff inside its own A tag. So if you do it like this, as you can see, the image is inside A tag, which means once this thing is saved, the second image we are going to, or this image that can you see, is not a link because it is inside A tag. You can put anything inside A tag. You know, here now we put text, but for this second A tag, we are putting image. Anything can be inside A tag, depending on what you want the user to click on. If it is image you want the user to click on, just put the image inside the A tag, which is what we are doing now. If it is text or if it is heading and so forth like that, you are going to put it inside the A tag. So any element that you want this thing to have there, the one you want this thing to hold, that's what you are going to put inside the A tag. But on my A tag, I will always use text for now. But when we are working on a real sense, based on the design we are working on, so if the thing is telling us to use image, we're going to use image. It's telling us to use text, we're going to use text, and so forth like that, depending on the design. It all depends on the design. But this one is just for you to see that it's possible to put anything inside the A tag that you want to use. But this is the image. This is how you are going to bring in assets into your page there. To include image, you use this img tag. Then the major attribute that you need is that src. So this one is not, if you want, if you like, you can remove this one or you leave it there. But this source is required because that's what is going to determine what to show on the screen. And again, you can use multiple img, but the source will be different if they are different assets. But if the same thing, then you can just duplicate it and it will still show the same thing for us on the page. But I don't want to use this one. I don't want to use this one again. I want to use something that is part of our project. So because now we want to deal with internal linking. And when you're talking about internal linking, this one comes with different methods because of the way you are going to be arranging your files and folder. So we're under this internal linking here, we have something referred to as same folder linking. And at the same time, we have, let's say, nested folder linking. And at the same time, we have the parents, but we are only going to focus on the first one for now, like that. This one should be child folder, like that. So when you're dealing with internal linking, we have different methods that you can use. So we have this, why do I have this in the front of them? The leave, save. Yeah, so going back to the page. As you can see, under the internal, we have the same folder linking, we have the child folder linking, and we have the parent folder linking. Because it's the one you're going to use here is depending on how you arrange your files here. You know, you can have nested folder under the HTML, and inside the HTML, you are going to have file inside it. This is what I'm saying here. For example, inside this HTML now, I have this dashboard folder, and inside the dashboard folder, I have this overview.html. You can see that we have this index inside HTML, and we have this overview inside dashboard. But dashboard is inside HTML. So how do you connect this index now to this overview? So that's where other type of linking comes in, because they are not, as you can see, they are not together. You cannot just say the overview is part of where this index is, and we can verify it by going into our Explorer. You know, the way this one used to display is quite different from the normal Explorer there. So going to our classes, as you can see, inside the HTML, there is something like overview here. Before you can see overview, you have to enter dashboard. And as you can see, there is nothing like index here. So you can't just connect them together anyhow. You have to use different methods because they are not together. But all those ones that you can see together in the same folder, that's where this same folder comes in. So when they are in the same place, that means when you check your file explorer and you can see them inside the same folder, like all this one now, they are inside the same HTML folder. So it means all this one, you are going to connect them together using the same folder linking. When you are dealing with page linking too, not just image, so whatever file that you want to connect together, it always follow that pattern. but you are dealing with internal. But when you are dealing with external one, you don't have any problem. Just get the link and use it where you need it. Where there is a lot of work is when you are dealing with internal linking. You need to know the two files you want to connect it together. Can you see them together like this in the same folder? If you can see them, then you are going to be using this method here, which is what we are going to use. But later on, you are going to see that we need to learn about this child and the parent, because not every time that all of them will be in the same folder like the way we have it now. So, and how do we get our asset here? No, we've already downloaded the stuff. I just need to go inside my download, which is this one. As you can see, this is another one in case I want to use it. This is other images too if I want to use them. But I'm going to drag this one inside the HTML so that it can copy it. I don't ask you to open the stuff. Just drag and drop into the HTML. Just move it on top of the folder where you want to copy it to. Then leave it. As you can see, it will create a copy there. The same thing too, these two bobs, I want to copy them too. Just drag it to that folder. On top of that folder, I want to say copy, leave it, and you see that it will copy it. And if you go back to the page now to where we have our file, you see that all of them, they are in the same folder. So which means we can use same folder linking for the pages and at the same time for the images are there like that. So how do we now connect them? So when you are dealing with same folder linking, what that means is that you just mention the name of the file and the extension of it. That's just it. When you want to do it, you know, here now we have to supply the full address of where that thing is coming from, along with the name of the file. This is the name of the file now. This whatever stuff.jpg, whatever stuff, and again to where we are getting it from. But since they are together in the same project and where you are using it, they're in the same folder, you don't need to supply all this one. What you just mentioned is the name of the file and the extension of the file. The browser will figure out the remaining stuff, because once you use the name only, the browser will think it's coming from the same folder where you are using it. That's what the browser will think by default. We even the same thing with this one too. If I just remove all this HTTP whatever sonarland and we just leave only the name, it will think this file is part of this HTML folder. That's what the browser used to do by default if you don't supply the full link there. So here now, what we can do is to use our image. Then we want to connect to that Bob. So we can just say Bob. Even VS Code will help you out. Once you type something that is inside out, it will bring it out for you. So we can just click on this to complete it. Then save. Go back to the page. And you say that we are going to have the asset, which is really large. As you can see, is really large. But you can actually reduce the size there without CSS. You know, there's some simple CSS you can do from the HTML. So which means this image, it comes with other attributes too that you can use. But normally I used to do it from CSS. But based on what we are doing right now that we don't know about CSS, I will use it here, which is this width. You can use it to control the width that you want to show on the screen. You know, the original size is what the browser is showing by default. But you can tell it that even though the image is of this so size, so this is the size I want you to show on the screen, the width of the image. You can control the height too if you want to change it. But if you only change one of them, the browser will change the other one. It will make sure that the image is in proportion there based on the original size. It will make sure that everything is okay. But if you change the two, you have to be the one that will do it yourself. But I will only change the width. For example, here now I can just use 300 pixels. What is it pixels here? When we get to CSS, you understand it better. Or let's just remove the pixels. Just leave it as 300. Whether you say 300 or 300 pixels, both of them are the same thing for now. But once you get to CSS, you know what is that PX is doing there like that. So let me save and go back to the screen like that. And let us go back. You can see things as reduced from the way. Now the weight is, so from year to year is 300. But from year to down, it will adjust it automatically based on the width that we specify there. But if you want to change the two of them, you can actually change it if you want. Let me move these things side by side so that we can see what is going on time. So let me move this in here. So now we can change the width because this 300 is too big. Let me use 100 here. Save. You see that the weight of the image now is going to be 100 like that. As you can see now, it's now 100. Normally, the original size of this image is really big. As you can see from the top, it's kind of bigger than the screen itself. So we need to reduce the size so that it fits at that location where we want it to be. Because almost all the image you see online,
That's not the original size, but you can actually style it to look like the way you want it to appear on the screen. The reason why we did not do it for all this one is because they are kind of as small already, so like we don't need to change the stuff. But for this one, it's really big, so we need to reduce the weight of it. But once we started using CSS, I won't be doing it like that. I'll be doing it from CSS because it's kind of easier to manage from CSS, because later on I might want to change the size based on the screen where you are checking the site from. You know, you can check the site from mobile and you can check it from laptop. But you see that the way some sites display on laptop is not the same way it's showing on the screen. So with CSS, you can actually control what your element is going to show based on the screen that the user is using to visit the site, which is something you can use. You can even emulate it here for some site like that. So let me go back. Why is this thing down here? Come in. Let me reduce this thing, move it up so that it doesn't cover up the screen again. And let me come to this side. So look at this side here now. Look at the way it's displaying on a big screen. So I can emulate the small screen here because as a developer, you should be able to see what is going to happen on different screens. Can you see the way it's not showing now? On small screen, they are placed on top of each other. But once you get to a bigger screen, it's going to be placed side by side there, depending on the screen. Let me expand it more. This screen, let me reduce the stuff and go. As you can see now, it's now placed side by side. So with CSS, you can actually control what is going to happen based on the screen that the user is using to visit your site. Doing it from the HTML, you cannot do it like that. It's only static. Once you say it's 300 or 100 like this, you can't just change it anyhow. But with CSS, you can change based on the screen you are working on. That's the reason I won't be doing it from HTML. I'll be doing it from CSS later on. But for now, it's just going to be like this so that that image is not taking up the whole space we have there, because we don't know about CSS yet like that. So let's go back to our home page. And as you can see, something is happening here. You see that from the code, all these things, they are on a separate line. But on the screen, they are on the same line. You know, I told you, not because you move them to a separate line, that may make this thing to be on a separate line. You know, when you want to break things, you have to use BR. But what is happening here? Even though I put it on a separate line, it's not happen like that with all this P tag and H1. But all this one, they are now side by side. So what is going on here is known as inline elements. So we have something known as block element, and we have inline element. Block element, they always stay on their own, no matter the size of the text that you have there, or no matter the size of the content. No other thing can go beside them and take the remaining space. Other content will always be on another line. As you can see that this heading here is not getting to the end. So which means this P can actually cover up that remaining space, but it will never go there. Why? Because this element is block element. Any block element, they take up on their own space. That line, they will take everything. Even though it looks like this is where your text stop, it actually gets in here, which is something you can see later on with CSS. Once I apply background on it, you see that it actually cover up the entire space. For example, here now, I can quickly apply this style on it like this background. I use this red, save, then go to link. See, this is where the text stop. But actually, the entire, can you see, it's actually covering the entire space. That's the reason why no other content can take up that. Even though the content is small, it will make sure that it occupies that entire line. So any element that behaves like that, we call them block element. Why those one that only cover up the space of their content, whatever that is inside them, that's the only space they will cover. They are known as inline element. And some of the inline element that we have is this our A tag. A tag is one of the inline element. The image is one of the inline element. They occupy the space of what is inside them. So since we said this one should be 100 down here, that's the reason why it's occupying only the space of 100. So once you put another image here and it can occupy that space, you see that it will be at that location. They only occupy the space of their content. They don't take up the entire line that you have there. Whether the content is small or is big, they will only take the content, the space of that content that is inside them. And you can convert block to inline later on, or inline to block once you get to CSS. But for now, this is how the A tag behave and the images. But if you want to move them to a separate line, we can use our BR. So BR is going to break the line. The more BR you use, the more line this thing is going to break for us. So BR is used to break a line. As you can see now, the go to Naira line and the image now has been separated from each other. And if I use another BR again, it will create more space. As you can see now, we have more space at that side. The same thing to this A and this image. I want to create a break in between them. Now, this one will go to another line. So we can be using this one for now. But once we get to CSS, it will be easier for us to do without using BR every time we need to move something to next line. But BR, as you can see, is a self-closing tag. So it affects what is beside it like that. You don't give it any attributes. It doesn't need any attribute from you. What is going to do is that whatever content that follows it, it will move it to next line. And the more BR you have, the more like you are pressing enter on your keyboard. If you press enter on your keyboard, this one is useless. Once I save now, you see that the this thing will close everything, which is prettier that I'm using, which is this extension that you are going to install. So this extension can correct all the unnecessary code that you are typing there like that. So if you type anything that it knows that it's supposed to arrange it in a particular way, it's going to format the stuff for you automatically. So we use it prettier to format our code. And that's why you see that as I'm typing, almost all these things that I type, normally they're on one line. But after saving it, it's putting them on a separate line like this. So because it knows that it's supposed to style all this, like supposed to arrange them in a normal way. For example, here if I move this H1, move it back, even though it's going to work, but the code is not arranged properly. There is always a structure you follow when you are creating your code. So any element you put inside another element will always next, like it always give a space, so that when you are reading it, you know that okay, this one is inside this one and so forth like that. But now I'm putting this one now at this end. It looks like this H1 is not inside body, because if you look at it, you see that we have HTML. The head is inside. Can you see that it's shifted inward? Again, toward this one too, they are shifted under there, so that you can quickly read, like you quickly know what is under what. But now look at this one, you are going down. This one now it look confusing because it doesn't look as if it's inside anything. So now if I save, you see that the edit is going to format the stuff because it knows that that arrangement is not proper. This is how it's supposed to be on the page. So this prettier is the one that is doing that work behind the scene. Just like the way we have this live server that is connecting our code to the browser. Once we save here, it will reload the page automatically like that. So this is how we can connect assets like image to our page, connect from one page to another. But you know that the connection that we did here is for external site. We did not really connect our pages together there. So let's do that. For example, here I want to have this login page, and inside this login page, as you can see, that I have this H1. But what we want to do is we want to have a link here that we click on. We want to have something here that we click on that will now take us to that page. It can be this one, it can be anything. But this one doesn't make sense because it doesn't really give that information that is going to login page. So let's just use text, which is making more sense. So down here after this, our image for the bulb. So I want to have, and again to this bulb, I think both of them are okay like that, side by side. So let me have another BR so that it's going to be on a separate line. So now so where do we want to connect to? We want to connect to this our login.html. But if you look at it, both of them, they're in the same folder. And you know that anything that is inside the same folder, the only thing you just mentioned is the name as the extension of that file. So when you are connected, so just like the image, just mention the name and the extension. You have to mention everything together, not just the name of the file. Because this same bob on, I can use this for HTML, not just the .jpeg alone. So how is the browser going to know which one to pick? So that's why you need to put the extension of the file, because the same name can be used for different extensions. Just like the way I have this login.html, down here too, I can have something like Bob. So let me click on this one. I can have this Bob, then underscore on, then .html. It will still work. Why is it working? It is because this one is .html, why this one is .jpg. So you need to, because of something like this that can happen, you need to supply the extension to, not just the name. So you have to mention extension so that this thing will not go and be picking nonsense for you. Instead of it to pick the .jpeg, it will now be picking the .html, which is not making sense. So once you put the file, you have to supply the extension to. The same thing here too. they are together. So login.html, and inside the A, login to our app. So this is a text we want to show, or the content the user is going to click on. As you can see, we have the stuff, and once I click on it, it will take us to the, what is doing is just changing the URL. Whatever you are typing here, that's just what is changing. But you don't want the user to be coming here to type it. You just want them to click on something and it will do it for them. Because you that is developing the app, you know about everything. You know where the user can go to. So your own is to do it behind the scene, and it's not less for them to click on the button or anything that will take them to that place. Not that the user will be the one that have to be cramming the link. Because some of this link can be long like that. For example, look at this. This one itself is not even long like that. But if you go to some site, you are going to say, like, now look at this search now. So are you not saying the user should keep typing this in every time because I want to go to? No. What did they do? They give you the box where you type what you are looking for. And once you type there, it will undo the stuff for you automatically. And that's the same thing. The same thing here too. We want to go to a particular page. The user doesn't need to know about the URL here. They don't need to put it in their head, or they don't need to come here and start typing it. What they need to do is just to click on the stuff, and it will undo the stuff for them automatically there, like that. You can see it will go to the page. So look at this one too. As you can see, these people, they are displaying video on their page. How do we to display video? Not just image alone that you can display. This is another type of media that you can use. As you can see, they have image there. As you can see, this is the image that we can get to by just right clicking on the stuff. As you can see, copy image link in case we want to use it. Go to our page anywhere we need it. So I will use this image like that, paste the link, and I don't want this thing to be big anyhow like that. So I'm going to give it a width of 200 like this. Going back to our page now, we should have the stuff. So going back to our page like that. Where are you guys? There, let me reload because we just go back to this page. And once the thing load, as you can see, it will show. But the size now is not like the way it is here, because you can shape the stuff anyhow you want yourself based on where you want to use it. But it's not this thing we want to show. We want to be able to use video. As you can see here too, we can save the video if you want, but we have copy video stuff. Yeah, copy link like that. So how do we display video, or how do we display audio on the screen? Because just like you can go to all these sites to download audio or video, for example, now Trendy, I think this site, Trendy Beats or whatever stuff, this site where you can go to download all this music online. You see that some of them, they give you preview where you can play directly from the site without downloading it. How did they do something like that? See HTML that is going on there. So here now I can click on any of the music here. So let me just click on this one. It's going to take me to a page where I see the information about that particular stuff. And scrolling down, we're going to get to a part where we have the play stuff. Where are you? As you can see here. So now I can click on this thing and it will start playing the stuff. This thing, they are not doing anything more. This is just pure HTML here. And what they are using there is known as audio tag. So we have the audio tag that you can use. So we have audio tag. And as you can see, it looks like image. It's expecting the source. Which audio do you want to play there like that? Or which video do you want to play? As you can see, I'm passing MP4 there, which means it's a video stuff like that. Or I can copy this one here, the link from this one, and paste it there. But let me just save this one and go back to our page there. You see that now, once the thing load, we have access to the audio, but it's not showing. Why is it not showing? Is because we are missing one attribute. That's another attribute that this thing needs before it will work. One of the attributes is the source here, which is the asset you want to play. But right now, what about all the controls that you can click on? There is here now. If you go back to that page, you see that there is a controls here, which is this button you click on to play or pause. You can fast track the stuff. You can reduce the volume. This is what we call controls here. And the controls doesn't come outside by default. So you have to be the one to talk to that tag to show it. And how do we show it? We just need to pass the attribute to it, which is known as this controls like this. So once you pass that attribute, you are talking to that tag now to display the control on the screen, because it doesn't show it by default. As you can see now, the control is now out, and now as you can see, it's just 13 seconds. So if you click on it, even though it is video, but it's going to be audio because we are using audio tag there like that. And there is no volume on it. As you can see, it's not playing, like the volume is disabled because we don't have this thing on it. But I don't want to have it as audio. I want to have it as video itself because it's MP4. So I don't need to be using audio for it. The same thing here too. We have the video tag, which follow the same pattern too. You have the source, so just paste the stuff there, and now this one too is going to give us the video interface like that we can, as you can see. But the thing is really big, so what I can do here is to just reduce the size too. So wait, let's just say 300 like this. So say it's going to give us now a small but you can see all of them, they are still inline element, so we can break it, but I will just leave it like that. But now I cannot play it. The same thing too, there is no controls, so you need to bring the control out before you can see all those. That's why you see when you go to some site, you cannot play or pause. They will play the stuff for you automatically. You cannot pause it. So because they've disabled it, like they did not bring in the controls. But if they want you to be able to control the stuff, then they will add the controls to it. And once the control is there, as you can see now, we'll be able to play the stuff. We'll be able to enter the full screen in case you need to enter full screen, or you'll be able to even download itself if you want to download the stuff like that. But the thing is not have audio at all, so that's why it's not playing. But we can actually go to that site, that trendy whatever stuff bit, get one of that. So instead of us downloading the stuff here, this is a link. You can see that's a link there, but they style it to look like button. When we get to CSS, you see how to do all this one. But we can just copy the link to that audio, then go back to our page. Instead of us using the video for this audio, we can just replace it with the audio with this MP4, MP3 like that. Go back to the page, then this thing should load, and once it says it and it loads correctly, it will start playing, because this one has, and you can reduce or mute the stuff depending on what you want. So that's just what they are doing. So they are not doing any special stuff. It's just HTML that you use to bring any of this media out. And as you can see, we are using the external and internal linking, depending on whether you have it already in your project or it's something that is coming from external sites there like that. So that's how you can connect to different media, and at the same time you can link different web pages together there. So this will make it easier for us to work with. So we can link the pages together. We can include our media like the image, the audio, the video, and at the same time connect different pages together. But apart from this, everything we have been doing since is all about giving information to the user. But most of the sites these days, they receive information from user. That's where form comes in, which is what we are going to be focusing on tomorrow there like that. Because when you go to some site now, like this land that I always use, you know that they have their login page, or they have this box here, because they need to know what you are looking for. So they need to receive that information from the user. So yeah, I can just type NYSE like this. So search, it will bring out anything related to NYSE on their site. So they need to know what you are searching for first before they give you the information. And here they are using what is known as form controls here that we're going to be learning tomorrow. So we have different types. As you can see, there's one that you have to pick from the list. There's some that you have to check on it, or there's one you have to type. But this is not all. We have a lot of them that we're going to be discussing about tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll focus more on the form, and after that, in the next class, which is going to be next week Wednesday, we're going into CSS directly, because the basic HTML we need is what we talked about now. Not that we are done with HTML. This is just because now you have to do something, like you have to combine it together later on to do something like this. But first, we talked about the basic one. Then we now be combining them together later on to form a real stuff. But in order for you to form a real stuff, as you can see, you need to style them. And that's why we need basic CSS too. Not that we just finish the entire, no. We talked about the basic one, then we now start combining them together to see how to use it. Then later on, some other one that I need to talk about, there are some other HTML that I need to talk about, I'll keep bringing them in one by one. Not that we just focus on all HTML alone. That's waste of time there like that. Any question? Yes. Yes, so let me go back to VS Code. Yeah. That one is image. Oh.
Yes, just that image. Take it from source.
Yeah, this is it. This is the bulb you are talking about. That one is when the file you want to connect to is part, yeah, is part of your project. But if it's not part of your project, it's somewhere online. You have to go and get the link to that asset. And to get the link to any asset online using any browser, just right click on that asset. The browser will give you the copy links to copy the stuff if it is image. But this one I can see now, this is not giving me access to copy it. It looks like they are not using image on that side. They are passing it directly, all this one. But I can actually get access to it no matter what they are doing. So I can just inspect it. I will see the code that is running the stuff behind the scene, because sometimes they can actually use background. But that background is coming from CSS. That's why I said we need to dive into CSS too, to see what is going on there. So this is this element. Let me expand it and let me check their CSS. Are they doing it from CSS? Cannot see anything from CSS there. Let me expand it again. No, that's not it. Yeah, so this is where it is. So this is where it's supposed to be, like this. So let me expand it again. As you can see, it is image, but the browser is not seeing it. So now I can see, can have access to it. So this is what I need. Just copy the link, then go to where you want to use it. So for example, here we just want to have it at this place. So image, then paste it inside the source. This space is not supposed to be there, like that, but it's going to use original size. I don't want that. So the width should be 300 because I don't want it to cover the entire stuff. So now going back to our page, you are going to see that we now have access to the asset too. Once it's done loading, where are you? So it's still load browser, because the browser have to get it. As you can see now, we have it. Or you can just save it. You can just save it, take it into your project. But that's what you do most of the time, and that's what almost all the projects we are going to be working on later on are doing. As you can see, this is the design. Some of the design we are going to be working on later on. But some of the stuff that are being used here, like all these assets, if you look at it, there is this star here. So can you see there is star icon here? Apart from this star icon, as you can see, there is this icon here. So you are not going to go online to be looking for this thing. The project we want to work with already have all this thing given to us. So this folder now, you see that there is images folder. Once you open it, can you see this is illustration, thank you, which is that one that like ATM, and this is the star. What you just need to do is to just include them on the page. Almost all the projects we are going to be working on later on, which I'm going to send you all this file to once we get, as you can see, these are some stuff we are going to be using to learn later on there. And almost all of them are the assets that you want to use. But some of them later on, maybe you are doing it yourself and you don't have the asset, you can just go online and get it. But the project will be working on all the assets. They are always included in the project. Your own is just to include them at the correct location. As you can see now, there are 16 assets for this one. So for the project, that anywhere they're being used, you just include them on the page like that. But you see that they have their own separate folder, and that's the reason why we need to talk about all those child folder and parent folder later on, because it's not every time that all of them will be in the same folder. Some of them will have to be grouped together in their own separate folder, and you need to be able to connect to it. So we need to talk about child folder later on, and that's why I said we are not done with the HTML. We are just dealing with the basic one. So when we move, when we progress there later on, we now keep bringing other stuff that we need to know. But we can't just bombard everything together. We really spend a lot of time on one stuff, which is not ideal, because we need the three language together in order to have something that is functional. And we need to talk about the basic one first. Just like schools, you start with KG, then from there you progress to primary. From primary you go to JS. From JS you go to SS, from SS, then you go to university from there too. So everything is going to be step by step. Not that we just finish everything in one go like that. You will not even be able to work with the stuff like that, because it's better we start with the basic one, start using them, then we now start growing on top of it. It's better like that. So this is how all the assets is always going to be like that. So let me